was asking who's made pesto. Have you, Melinda?
I think I have. I think it's water or something.
Okay. Well, at least you're like not too familiar with it because I wanted it to be something new. I grew up like we made so much pesto. I'm not sure. Maybe my mom. Well, wait, what?
What am I gonna say?
Oh, I took your. You can move another chair. I'm not sure why my mom had us make it. Maybe it was her mom. I should ask her. But we made pesto as soon as the basil was looking good. We would make pesto like all summer. It was like my favorite, totally favorite.
So how do you eat it? How did you like to eat it with?
At the time, like just like big piles of noodles.
Yeah.
I still make pesto every summer, like all summer long, but I don't eat like big piles of noodles anymore. Maybe like I'll make it as a side dish or something. Like we used to even just growing up, we ate a lot of pasta and it would, lots. And that was like the main meal. And I can,
This one's wet.
there's a towel there, you can dry it off. I can't eat that much noodle anymore. So it's good. Pesto is good on crackers. It's good with soup. Like you can put like a dollop on top of your soup. It's good with vegetables. Maybe like just a piece of bread. I mean, you can be creative. Anything savory, really. It's like a nice condiment sauce. But I didn't know at the time, of course, that it had so many health benefits. That are pretty amazing. So it's nice to have your herbs as food versus always, thinking of them as like a pill or some kind of alcohol tincture, I try to incorporate as many as I can just in what we're eating. And so growing up, pesto was basil to me, and I didn't think of it as any other way. And then meeting a lot of different herbalists and finding out how they make pesto, and they use all kinds of green herbs. I mean, really, you can substitute anything dark green. Actually, it doesn't even have to be green, but it's a chopped, blended herb mix with olive oil, usually cheese, and then you can add pine nuts, you can add salt and pepper, and what I'm going to show you tonight then is like just some of the variations that I make. I use nutritional yeast as a cheese substitute. It definitely tastes like cheese. I actually really like it. So we'll get to that, but I wanted to just share some of the other herbs that I use in making pesto, and you may or may not be familiar with them. The first one, and I will pass around some pieces, is lamb's quarter. So here's a pretty good picture.
You grow it in your yard?
It is in, so it comes up like by itself. I'm not like, I didn't
So it
plant
might be like in my yard.
Yeah, it's like a wild weed.
Okay.
This is what it looks like when it seeds. The top.
That's the stuff I'm looking for.
I'll hold up.
Stuff that just comes up.
Yeah.
I'll have to get Debbie on this.
It's not seeding right now, so they kind of just started to pop up. If you want to just keep that one. If you want to just try a piece, I'll give you. It's sort of.
It smells like lettuce.
I don't want to say it's spinachy. I guess you determine what you think it tastes like, but.
It smells like lettuce.
Yeah, it's like a lettuce green.
Like iceberg lettuce. I mean, not really. Well, yeah.
Some people you either really love
like
it or you don't like it. I think it's good.
I like it.
I like it. I like it in food versus just like plain. versus like parsley or basil. Like I can just eat plain leaves. I love those herbs. But lamb's quarter, this herb is a wild herb. It's also called pigweed, goosefoot, and that's because of the shape. The goosefoot name is because of the shape of the leaf. It likes moist areas. It can grow near streams and rivers, in open meadows, wet forest clearings. And it is part of the amaranth family. So I think it also likes dry places. I mean, I have it growing in dry places. It was definitely like overtaking my green plants, my green like lettuces and everything I would plant early spring in my garden for like years. This year is the first year that I hardly have any. I'm like, what the heck happened? So when I made the listing for this class, I put lamb's quarter, and when I went out today, I'm like, I had the hardest time finding the lamb's quarter. I have thistles, these, and I don't use them, but I'm wondering if they would be good like nettles, because stinging nettles are really my favorite cooked green. So I'm thinking maybe I should try cooking some thistle, because I have tons of those and not very many lamb's quarter in my garden this year. But I had a big pot that I transplanted an elderberry bush, and it was full of the lamb's quarter. So that's where I mainly gathered my lamb's quarter. But if you have a garden right now, I would go out and look, see if you have any. Let's see. Everything is basically edible for this plant. The leaves, the flowers, the seeds. They are definitely tastier now. Like before they shoot up and the seeds form in the little flower tops, they become more bitter, as do most herbs, flowering plants. Always seem to taste like sweeter, nicer when they're young. This plant does, so like spinach contains that oxalic acid. It is not in large quantities in this plant, so it is recommended though that you don't eat a ton of it raw, that you just steam it. Same with like spinach, it's often recommended you kind of like steam your vegetables. As far as vitamins, this I think is what is important. It's rich in vitamins A, B2, C, niacin, calcium, iron, phosphorus. And I love this when I read this about a plant. So what was the food that was lacking with the sailors, that the reason why they got scurvy? Vitamin C, and they call them whinies.
Yeah.
So there are plants that are used or eaten for scurvy. Lamb's quarter, and in the wintertime, pine needles, so you can make pine needle tea. And I found that, I was like, that's really, really good information to know, especially if you were like here, trying to survive, like as early settlers and lacking in multiple food sources. To know that would be so needed. I've never collected it and dried this and saved it for the winter. I usually just use it as a late spring kind of food. But I think it would be definitely worth, if you have a bit of it, to cut it, dry it, save it in the winter. High source of vitamin C. I would probably make it into a tea, but mixing it with some other like tastier herbs like peppermint or something else, like chamomile. This plant can be used as a poultice for all kinds of skin stuff, bites, itching, swelling. A lot of the green plants, I mean, pretty much all of them, it's like, oh, it's good for skin. You know, they just have that quality. It's loaded with fiber. Very good for, as a mild laxative. Good for stomach aches, colic, arthritis, gout. I can go on and on about this plant. It's a really great all-purpose plant, and it's wild, and it's.
If you were gonna use it
Beautiful.
for arthritis, would you make a salve and rub it right on the joint, or would you drink it as a tea?
So here they say to use it directly on the joint for arthritis pain. What would work, like, I think salves are good, but whenever you can, if you can put the tea like right on the skin, or what I like to do, and I just did this because one of my kids had sunburn, I took comfrey leaves, blended them with water, and then I strained it off, had comfrey juice. So then I just applied that right to his skin. If I were going to do that or use this for like a topical arthritic pain or gout pain, I would make a juice with it versus the tea, because I think you just get more from it. And then like either bathe your hands in it or whatever areas, or I think eating it then as well would be really helpful too. So when I make pesto with this herb, I don't just make it by itself. It does not have that like real strong aromatic flavor. Yeah, it needs stuff. So I'll add it in with the basil or parsley. So those are the two main herbs that I would say are my like base herbs, either basil or parsley, because both of them have strong aromatic qualities. And then adding to them some of these other wild edibles that are just growing by themselves. The next herb I'm going to share is lemon clover. I'm not sure if I have it in one of my books here. It seems like so easy to be healthy in the summer when the plants are here. I wish I had them all year. There's so many good, like you can get all your vitamins from what's growing outside. So I really do recommend just drying whatever you can for the winter time. I don't think I have that in these books. So the next herb is it's not in my book. I guess it's not used as often. It's missing from most of these like popular herb books where they put common herbs, and that's lemon clover. So it's different than red clover.
So red clover more purple.
Red clover has a purple flower. This lemon clover has this little yellow flower. I'll just give everybody a little bit, and you can taste this. I'm going to see if I have it in one other book.
So cool.
I'll be right back.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I did not expect that.
Tastes lemonade.
It is
It really
lemonade.
does. It's so weird.
It's so awesome.
It's good.
I always take a lot when I see
It's so weird.
I feel like I just sucked the
Bit
lemon.
into a tart berry.
I
You know those little sneaky sour blueberries in your.
What did you say, Billy Dawn?
I said, I feel like I just bit into a tart berry, like, you know, you're like munching on like sweet blueberries and then there's always that little tart sour one in there somewhere.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
it's really good. I love this plant.
Does that just grow wild in your yard too?
Yeah, it does. And I would love to be able to share more information. I know it's high in vitamin C. I might have to look it up on a phone. I'm gonna press pause because they both take up so much time.
Yeah.
Except I do kind of have both, and both are like out of control. The garden is out of control. The animals are out of control. All right, what is it? What do the Indians say here? The Iroquois made a decoction of the roots taken as blood medicines. They also made an infusion of the whole plant for fever, and an infusion of the plant for cramps and nausea. And just like a cool tea was a wash to refresh the mouth. Here it says they in their witchcraft medicine it was an anti-witch medicine.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. The Kiowa, it was an oral aid, leaves chewed on, long walks to relieve thirst. That would work.
Oh,
Yeah, it was juicy.
Yeah.
that's cool.
The Kiowa name means salt weed. What is the name they give it here? This name may indicate that there was an early realization that the loss of salt through perspiration may be counteracted by chewing the leaves of this plant. And the Omaha Indians used it as a poultice for swelling. So that's interesting. I've shared this book before, Native American Medicinal Plants. I think it has every herb. No pictures, but I'd never looked for a plant and it wasn't in here. Okay. And then I only had a little bit of basil. Does everybody use parsley?
Mhm.
I'll just give you a sprig to chew. I had a little bit of basil at this point in my garden. Anybody plant basil?
I tried. My mom seems successful with that one and the chocolate mint.
Oh
But
yeah.
She's,
It needs a
lemon
lot of
balm,
sun.
too. She's
Let me check.
but me. I seem to be doing better just running out in the morning and seeing things rather than planting myself.
Oh yeah. I usually plant a lot of basil because we like to make pesto, and then it doesn't grow well until it's hot and warm consistently. It's got to be watered consistently. It'll dry out. Some of the other herbs like even parsley or thyme, oregano, they can get a little drier, but basil can. So parsley is a super common culinary herb in everything. Every cookbook, all savory dishes and soups. But it has fabulous medicinal value, and it's like oftentimes That's good, Carol. Oftentimes when anybody comes to me with kidney stress, like maybe bladder infection or something in the urinary tract system, parsley is what I often say first. It's a diuretic, but like uva ursi is a diuretic. A more, I would say, strong or harsh. Something you'd be more careful with herb-wise. Parsley, you can be very liberal. Either drinking tea, or I would even tell someone to like eat a bowl, make a salad with parsley. It will, just like sour cranberries would flush out the urinary system, so will parsley. Again, high in vitamin C. Parsley will also dry up mother's milk, but not a little bit. I've had moms ask me, like, they were worried about, you know, a seasoning, like a little bit of dried parsley. You have to take a lot. I mean, you have to drink like maybe 2 or 3 cups of parsley tea a day, or be eating, you know, 2 or 3 cups of fresh parsley. Useful if you're quickly weaning. No, honey, because I don't want to unplug that light. So I guess typically you're weaning and you wean and your milk supply goes down, but sometimes women have to stop and you have all this milk. So sage and parsley both will dry the milk without causing like any kind of infection or anything. So it has that like astringent drying property. It will dry like excess mucus in the body or in the nasal passages. You want to take that one out? That one's hard to pull out. I'll pull it out. But then we won't be able to smell the peppermint. I guess I can put my light on. Go ahead. Press the bottom button. Yeah, there you go. Okay. And then basil. Basil, of course, is like a great antibacterial herb, antiviral, in large amounts. Like you really have to have like cups of tea with it, or if you're making pesto, that would be a good amount. So making pesto with 3-4 cloves of garlic, you have your parsley, you have your basil. It's kind of like a summer super tonic, you know?
Nice.
Not needed as much, I feel like, in the summer. So it freezes, pesto freezes well. And we often do that where like you can freeze it in ice cube trays, like pour it into, make little blocks like of ice cube, like an ice cube would be, and you can add them to soups in the winter, or just getting little Tupperware containers, freezing it, then it's like a taste of summer in the middle of winter when the greens are not nearly as tasty or as fresh or bright. And then lastly, I just I brought a little bit of dill along. I don't know if I'll use that. Maybe I'll add a sprig in a batch. But I love dill. Dill is very good for digestion. It's also very good for pancreas and balancing blood sugar, or helping the pancreas work properly to balance blood sugar. And women who are pregnant and craving pickles, I think is it's the like that dill need, you know, blood sugar. that blood sugar balance need. So every time I was pregnant, after I learned this, I don't think I knew the first time, I would eat dill seeds. Dill is one of my herbs in my kidney formula. So that formula has an apple cider vinegar base, and then I use dill seed and parsley root in it. And it tastes like pickles because of the vinegar. It's really good. The kids love it. I made it with them in mind. Okay, so who has an herb garden this year? Herb pot. Try a pot.
Or a small one, I'm still adding to it.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm still adding to mine.
I have the sprouted garlic cloves that I just got out of the fridge, and I was gonna repot them to grow because
Great
they're
idea.
starting to look a little sketchy
Yeah.
for eating, and I was like, oh, might as well. If it doesn't work, compost it anyways.
There are a lot of foods that you can save when they're starting to go bad. The seeds from them.
I did it with celery.
Did you?
Like, it was organic celery, and it was doing so well. And the onions, like sweet onions and red onions.
Yeah.
I just put them in water in like the old yogurt cups,
Mm-hmm.
and they were doing so well. And then life happened
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, and now they're looking a little. I'm gonna try and move them outside anyway. But yeah, I was so proud of this celery because it got like this big just in a flower pot.
Oh, nice.
I only would have been able to have maybe like this much celery anyway, but it was
Yeah.
still like I'm so proud of it. Now it's
I
brown.
I had a lot growing in my compost because I'm like, we have this one. Actually, I have like numerous compost areas in my yard around the edges, and so like 2 of them right now, I'm like, don't throw any more compost there because all kinds of plants are now growing, and like in the past, I the last couple of years I started to catch on with this. I'm like, all my plants in my compost look better than in my garden. But we would keep throwing compost on it, so it would like kill them. Like, don't throw any more compost in the one bin, and then this other spot I have, because I don't know what they are yet, but it looks like squashes or watermelon or something like that. And so I love composting because I feel like I'm giving back. Like I can't throw away any food anymore because at least the seed is going in the ground, or some animal or something carries it, gets planted somewhere else. But yeah, I've planted old potatoes.
I was gonna do that too with the little tiny red potatoes that have arms and legs every.
Oh yeah, but
It's
pots
like you're
are
going
great.
outside now.
You know, you don't have to have a garden. You can just put potatoes in a pot. Your kitchen herbs in a pot, basil, parsley, right by the door. So I'm gonna make some pestos here to try, and I'm gonna wash in between. So tell me what you can have. I think I'm gonna make the first one so I have nutritional yeast and olive oil, and then the green herbs you can have, and garlic, salt, and you eat tomatoes. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
so the
all
dairy.
all vegetables and fruits are okay.
So I think I'll make a first batch with no cheese. Does everyone else eat cheese?
I do cheese.
Jeanette, cheese. Okay. So maybe I'll make like 2 different varieties then with the nutritional yeast for everyone to try, and then I'll do some with the Parmesan.
Yeah, because I get the big like 16-ounce nutritional yeast from Swanson, the Frontier.
Okay.
It's not irradiated.
Okay. Like a
Yeah.
pound of it.
Yeah, it's like I buy one like every other month.
Do you really?
Usually like the
Oh my gosh.
sale.
I don't go through
Because
that much.
it's well, that's like I'm always making like different cheeses out of tofu or cashews or almonds or something, or Parmesan with cashews and stuff. So I just buy bulk, like the bulk parsley and the stuff I made today. my cilantro looked bad, so I just added a tablespoon of the dried stinging nettle and a tablespoon of the parsley instead, and then just a little bit of the coriander, the ground coriander, because too much of that, it's like it tastes like soap.
Yeah.
It's like the cardamom too much and ginger too much, and you're like eating hand soap or something. It's weird.
So I'm just gonna mess around over here. You guys want to just chat or look at? Do you want me to get out any other books or magazines? I mean, it won't take me too long to do a batch, but I think I should get some of this out of the way so I can put food in the middle. Anybody want to look at a book?
I think that I'm reading.
Okay.
So do you have measurements of it all, or do you just?
I can give it to you.
Yeah, I want to write down a recipe.
What am I supposed to do?
Count the cats and draw a line to the correct number. How many lions? Is that a lion or a tiger?
I have these Mother Earth magazines, Mother Earth Living.
How many
Look at.
are there?
If you could hand me the box of nut thins, I could double check the ingredients.
Okay.
Because I feel bad because I was offered a free cracker.
Oh.
Right. No.
There's milk in it.
So there's milk
Yeah,
That one does. I guess the flavor of that one.
yeah, butter flavor.
Yeah.
Do you? What about
Okay, 5.
Karen? Do you?
I try to avoid milk.
What about wheat?
I eat wheat.
Okay, because I have wheat crackers, and then I was at Mornings. I'm like, oh, they have rice, whatever those are, nut thins, but
I ate a lot of them.
I didn't look at the back. And that one does have some milk. So let's see.
Wait. This one just goes right here.
Good job. You got it nice.
But first thing, I
Oh, yeah, you got it, girl.
accidentally went for that way.
So I don't use like a lot of stems when I make pesto. Like some of the stem, but like that's a little bit too much stem to use. Typically, whenever I use my herbs, if I'm chopping them up and cooking, I will keep the stems. I don't like to waste them, but it doesn't work right when you make pesto. You can, if you really feel like it, use a mortar and pestle. Oh my gosh, it's like a little. I don't do that.
When the power goes out, you gotta have your pesto.
Yeah.
There you go.
What is the best? Anybody use these? What do you? I don't even use mine that much. What do I use it for?
I use mine.
Did you know?
I have like 5, and I had just ordered a stainless steel one, and apparently the guy sent it to someone else in Pottsville, and UPS opened up a whole investigation, and and the guy would not respond. It was one of those like 2-day shipping, but he took 2 weeks to send it out, and I started to get a bad gut feeling about it. He even offered me a discount, so I got for like 22 instead of 24. So I was all excited, and then it said it was delivered, and we're like looking all over our property, and like he would have had to go through the whole property to put it at the back door, and it was just shady. And the UPS guy was like, this is so weird. He's like, what are the chances that someone else in Pottsville ordered the same exact thing from the same exact person at the same time you did? He's like, this is weird. And then eBay refunded my money, and now I'm just like, now I don't have a 6th more.
Oh,
Because I have like for specific things.
Yeah.
And stuff, so. But like if I'm doing like
Well,
Epsom salts and the essential oils and like a little bit of like
This
I use like a clary sage soap, like mix that in, and
well, actually, I'm gonna just break up my garlic a little bit because I find that when I put my garlic into a blending machine, it seems to stay in big chunks. So if you just like break it up first. So I'm making a small batch. So if you're making a small batch, you're going to want to use 1 cup of greens. And that is whatever greens you're working with. And that is like a full cup, like, you know, yeah, make sure it's like packed down, like you have a lot in there. Right now I'm using lamb's quarters.
Color in it, yeah.
Only yellow for the lion.
So about half a cup of lamb's quarter, half a cup of parsley. And since I don't have a lot of basil, I'm going to add what would I call this? Maybe 10 leaves of basil to this. And then I make it pretty garlicky. So 3 cloves of garlic. And then I usually only use extra virgin olive oil. You can use a lighter olive oil because the extra virgin does have a much stronger flavor. So sometimes people use like the, I don't know, what is the mild one called, but like the more yellowy olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't ever buy that kind of olive oil.
I never did either until I realized I could make mayonnaise with it and have
Yes.
a better mayonnaise instead of, I don't like safflower oil that I grew up using. I thought, well, I guess I can cut that with a lighter olive oil then.
I did
Instead
the
of,
same thing. I made it
Oh,
one
yeah?
time.
I
with
never
regular
made
olive oil,
mayonnaise.
and I was like, "This tastes like olive oil." And then I
Yeah.
found the light
yeah.
because I was using avocado oil
Okay, yeah.
too, which is good. But then, yeah, I did try it with the light, and
Yeah.
I was amazed. I was
I
like,
think
"Wait,
you-
is this okay? Is this like?" I was like a little confused. I didn't look it up, but I was like,
If you want it,
"Light olive oil."
minimalist baker does chickpea like aquafaba mayo, as well as Young Man Cooking. It's Will Young. He's Korean, Canada, and he just did a chickpea mayo, and I didn't do that one yet. I did the aquafaba mayo I've been using, but I use the extra virgin olive oil, and I can never find like safflower or sunflower oil that's
Cut out
good
the
and
box
reasonable
use the
price,
big
so I
cat
use
picture to make
sunflower oil
patterns
with
on
it.
the next
So it
page.
gets a little brown, but it's really good. Like even my mom's liking it, and
I don't know if you're gonna do that.
She's-
I don't have scissors.
she's very touchy with any kind of salt and savory thing. She's missing a kidney, so she can pick up salt very easily.
Probably
So
just
I,
do- if you wanna
but
do
she's
that,
always like, "Oh, this is so good."
why not?
But I do it in we have one of the NutriBullets, and that worked out okay. The minimalist baker, her name's Dana, she says use an immersion blender, and that just wasn't like, it was okay like the first 2 times. So this past time, I decided I was gonna whip up the aquafaba, like in the medium peaks in the KitchenAid stand mixer, and it worked amazing. I couldn't believe it. I was just like,
Pinch of sea salt, however salty you like your food. I don't really use a lot of salt. Okay, and then so olive oil. I'm gonna use a half a cup. Now what is this?
I don't know which one to choose.
I'm not a baker. I'm terrible at measuring. I don't like to measure. I will not follow a baking recipe because I'm like, I cannot put in that much sugar. It's just, oh my god, I like cannot do it.
Why just make a line like this?
They want you to cut that one out.
So for this one, I'm using nutritional yeast, and I like it when it's flaky.
There's a lot
But
of cutting out.
what I bought, it was just like in a sealed bag, and I didn't know it was powdered. But it actually is good for this kind of circumstance. So I might have to add more. I'm gonna just put 3 heaping teaspoons for now here, and I might also have to add a little bit more olive oil, because what I've found, even if you're using your pesto recipe, I guess it's the content of water in your herb that will alter, like how, if you need a little bit more oil or a little bit more cheese, because it's never exactly the same. And I actually didn't wash my basil, hope you don't mind,
Do you know what color
because
it is?
basil gets weird. It gets like dark
Backwards
and
is
almost like
green.
slimy when you wash it.
Gray.
But I washed everything else.
These are-
I thought that was me. That's my alarm.
Yeah,
have
me
it.
too.
Same sound.
And maybe it's the default and I never
It
changed
probably
it.
That says gray. Which one's gray?
Oh, whoops, I gotta plug this in.
Which animal's gray?
That one.
This cord is like so short, so I'm gonna have to be sitting on the floor.
What's the other option? White, brown, gray, and green. Oh, okay. So which one's gray?
So, I think you guys were talking about blending and chopping and stuff.
Brown.
A blender does not work really good to make pesto. I have like a bullet type thing. It's like a ninja one at home. It's bigger than this. And that works pretty good. This is like so old. I mean, it's a Cuisinart. I love it. I really should replace it because it's super old. But it chops up pesto really nicely.
Brown, so brown. Deer.
So I think I got the consistency pretty good. I'm not going to add
Brown.
any more oil or the nutritional yeast, but I just want to grind it better.
I have the exact same one at home.
Yeah.
The
So I
baby
just. Oh, sorry, Melinda. I just push down the sides and keep going until it's like as smooth as I want it to be. I forgot to say, you can add like hot peppers to yours if you want to like kick. Alright. So I think what I'll do is just put a scoop on a plate for everyone, and if you want to tell me what cracker you want. Jeanette, what kind of, do you want the wheat or
It
the,
doesn't matter. Whatever. Whatever.
okay.
That's good. The nuts in. Yeah.
Okay. These smell a little sweet though. I'll give you one.
So instead of the nutritional yeast, you would do 3 heaping teaspoons of the Parmesan. If
Parmesan.
you were doing.
Yeah. Sure. Melinda, what would you like? The
I did the
multigrain
yeah.
wheat?
That's where the tomatoes come in.
I'm gonna put some in the next
Oh,
batch.
The wheat one.
Okay.
This is really good. Oh my goodness. I'm definitely doing this. This is really good.
Would you like do you want to eat it with tomato?
Sure.
Should I give you
Oh, that
some?
would be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There she is.
Really?
I want to paint this.
You want to paint it, huh?
Great
Now
thing.
you're gonna be
I mean, I like cheese,
overwhelmed with
but
garlic tonight.
that you don't even need the cheese because that it's so good. Like the nutritional yeast is so good. I mean, I'm trying to cut down on the dairy, so
Yeah.
I, like
On the
only
floor?
eat dairy when it's like when I really want it, you know,
Mama, look at me, water.
or if it's raw.
I'm gonna paint. I don't need this because I'm.
Where are you gonna paint? Right here?
Yeah, I'm gonna paint that. Right
That would be really good on like a hummus, like with hummus, pesto, and like crackers, and like cut cucumbers,
Oh,
and
yeah.
vegetable tray. You know, like
Why
a
is this sticky?
Oh, yeah.
that's really good.
Like these
Okay.
ones are. Yeah, that one's.
So I'm gonna
And I
scoop
like the
this
garlic
out.
strong.
Me too.
Do you?
Yeah.
Me too.
I have a meme that has like a picture of a lady cooking, and the recipe says 1 clove of garlic, and it's like
A lot more.
the joke was, that's ridiculous. Nobody ever just uses 1 clove, you know, like who, like no. I would put like 4 cloves. When it says 1, I put like 4.
It definitely brings out the flavor and stuff. My sister-in-law, who won't touch it with a 10-foot pole, yet she loves ranch dressing. I don't think she understands what ranch dressing is.
You won't what?
My sister-in-law,
She won't have what?
garlic. Yeah, she gave me her Pamper Chef garlic press. And I'm like, you bet, I love that thing. Use it all the time.
Yeah.
They don't like garlic,
Oh,
but yet they love ranch dressing. Like, you guys don't have a clue.
That got really
It's
good.
like, I guess they never looked at the ingredients.
One time we watched
Right.
Sad Albert.
You watched what?
Sad Albert.
Did you ever watch that show? She gets to see things that I would never have her watch because she has older brothers.
My
Now just
friends
wait
and
my
I used
face.
to watch the cartoon on Saturday mornings. So we'd have
Yeah.
sleepovers every weekend,
It was a good
and that was
show.
like it was like Rainbow
Did you-
Bright.
Did your mom
Sad
let you?
Did my mom what?
Let you.
Let you.
Yeah. We take turns because we just lived across the alley from each other. So one weekend we're at one house. and
My mom
Another house.
wouldn't.
Your mom wouldn't.
Yeah.
And speaking of that era, my food processor is a Hamilton Beach from 1981 or 82. It's my mom's. It's even brown.
It's
Like the
probably.
late 70s.
I had
80s.
one of those.
I just bought a new
I think it.
base motor about 1.5 years ago because it finally died. And just this year I bought some new blades because the plastic thing when you do the grating or slicing, that busted. Wayne fixed it, was able to like glue it back together with like food safe glue and stuff, but I actually used it today and it was fine, but
It's cool.
Did you paint me a little girl?
Alright.
Would it be right if I stitched a tomato and had some?
Yeah, I'm wondering if I don't want to put the tomatoes in right now.
Yeah, I have different colors.
I paid for me. This was perfect.
I was gonna just cut it for you.
It was really
Oh,
good.
Yeah, it doesn't need dairy.
do you want a
Delicious.
tomato,
Sure.
Karen?
And the
I thought
nutritional
you-
yeast is so good for you.
That you're gonna say
Thanks.
when I went with
This nutritional yeast is high in vitamin B.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's why a lot of like vegans and vegetarians use it.
Yeah.
But there's the school of thought that it's terrible and horrible and blah blah blah. Like you go into any
Oh,
vegan
really?
forum and there's like the they call it nooch. There's the nooch people and the nooch person. And then there's like the anti, it's so sad. But Dr. Michael Greger, he has nutritionalfacts.org, and he does a lot of research on all this. I love that guy. He's kind of a fast talker, and he does a lot of his interviews while he's walking on his treadmill. But he uses that, and I'm just like, well, if this guy who's researched stuff, for his whole life, because his grandmother was very ill when he was little, and I don't know if anybody remembers, Pritkin. There was a company called Pritkin, and that's basically how she healed herself, and he found it very interesting as a kid and went into the medical field. And so now he does a lot of, before this he did a lot of things on with the ASPCA and some words of the current situation in the world many years ago. And but he really has this nutritionfacts.org, and has a lot of good recipes and stuff. So he looks into he'll do garlic, and he'll tell you you do it's high in this and low in that, and it's good in this and good in that, and so it's very interesting.
Kind of looks like.
So for this one, I used about a half a cup of the lemon clover, and then I'm making up the other half a cup between the dill and the basil.
So you said this one is lemon, clover, dill, and basil?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna do 3 cloves of garlic again.
Paint is green.
Now, do you want to try the pesto?
Not tomato, please. I don't like tomato.
Not with tomato.
No, I don't like tomato.
It's good with the cracker. Here. Thinking of all the things that I could eat that on.
Yeah.
Besides pasta.
Eggs.
Eggs. It would
Spicy.
be really good on eggs.
Yeah.
They spicy a little bit.
Yes.
Didn't you finish? Yeah, the garlic I think made it spicy.
I know Panera Bread in their vegetable soup, they put a dollop of
Sounds
pesto
really good.
on the soup, and then a little slice of lemon.
It would make a beautiful presentation.
I
No, wait a
can't-
second.
I can't
That would
have
be
that anymore
good.
because they put barley in their soup.
Oh.
I don't want it to
Yeah.
spill.
I used to love it.
Oh man. Can you make your own?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been craving Indian food lately, and there's a vegan chef. Her name's Richa Hingle, and it's vegan Richa, and she just had a curry chickpea salad in her email.
Hold on,
I
I'm
guess
gonna.
3 days ago.
you-
So that's what I
need
did
help with
today.
this.
I did that with the pickled onions, and I made
Just a minute.
doses out of
Well,
just red lentils soaked, and then water, and then you make the little they're like crepes. And I've not mastered making a crepe in a pan, so I just make a little circle on an oiled.
What do you
reusable
put in
sheet.
your crepes? What do you use for the?
This one, you just soak a cup of red lentils for 3 to 4 hours.
Oh,
Last week when I tried it, I did it overnight and they sprouted, and I was excited because I was like, ooh, more nutrition. But and then you just blend that with the water and add as needed, if it gets too thick or whatever. And from when I pressure cook the chickpeas, I use that water just to make it smooth. And that was it. I just put it in the air fryer toaster oven for 5 minutes at 400, and then I just wrapped did kind of like a little
Oh.
taco with the chickpea salad.
So it was just red lentils and water was your tortilla type crepe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Red lentil
Okay.
and water.
That's
Yeah, and-
awesome.
Well, Minimalist Baker has one that she uses I think it's short grain white rice, and like red lentils, and you soak them, and then you just have water, maybe salt if you want. And I could never, again, like I couldn't get the crepe down, and we have, many years ago, down the street from us, there was a nice young Vietnamese couple that had like a dollar store, and they had like these little pans, like pancake pans that you bake things in, and that's what I use. Like if I can't master, just fill it, up and it goes in a little perfect circle. But I decided to air fry it. Just the other week, I did do. I think it's Minimalist Baker again. She has buckwheat crepes, and I didn't have.
Hold
I
on,
only
Billy
had
Dawn.
toasted.
Can you hold that thought a minute? I just want to tell you the rest of what I did here. So I did, it was like a half a cup of the lemon clover, and then the rest. Hold on, Yara. This is Jeanette's plate.
Oops, wrong one. Sorry,
So-
I got it mixed up. Not you.
Oh. So then, half, like a quarter basil, quarter dill. I did the pinch of salt. Or did I get the salt? Half a cup of olive oil. Stop. I'm not using that one. Just wait, okay?
Okay.
Half a cup of olive oil. 3 teaspoons again of the
I would like a tomato
Of the-
basil.
nutritional yeast.
Getting out tomatoes.
I think I got it. Oh. All right. So I'm gonna give you this one again with a couple crackers.
Yeah, really.
Just a second. It's like stringier. I think the lemon clover doesn't blend as nice. All right, let me put some crackers on. Do you want a tomato with it?
Yeah.
Jimmy
Say,
had
cut
cut tomato.
make sure the nutritional yeast says non-eradicated.
Yeah. I usually get a lot of, like, Bragg's has it. If you go to
Yes,
any
I got it from
Bragg's,
Bragg,
there's,
so
like,
I'm sure it's
Top
probably
Star,
good.
I think is another one.
Okay.
Thank you. All right,
But
Melinda.
since I, use so much, I get the Whopping bag.
Okay.
That, once you cut it open, you can roll it up and put it in a gallon Ziploc baggie. So,
All right, let's give her a couple crackers.
and that, a lot of times I get that anywhere from $9
Hold on,
to
let me-
$13 for like 16 ounces on Swanson's when they're having a sale.
Okay.
But, and even I think full price, it's like $17, so it
think
still
so.
ends up being
Oh, this is yours?
Yeah. just
Okay.
slightly cheaper than like buying the little like
Yeah.
Okay.
containers in the store.
Do you want tomato again?
So, but yeah, Frontier Co-op, who also owns Simply Organic and Oracacia, they don't
Hold on.
use radiation.
They don't.
I did not
the
think about
frontier
This
does not
one,
use radiation.
Mommy might
Okay,
have to
good.
give
Yep.
her
Yeah.
because she's
Yeah.
back here.
Okay.
No, I'll do it.
So I try my best to get that stuff.
Thank you.
Does anybody feel like they need a fork?
No.
No. All right, Billy Dawn, can you pass her? Wait.
Okay, I'm gonna make.
Now she's in the corner. I'm gonna have to pass it back.
No, I can do it. I can
Oh, you can?
go back and do it. Because
I think you're still living over.
Oh, I wanted to say, all right, you do your, be very, very careful of those tomatoes. I don't really use pine nuts,
Oh, no.
except if I find them on sale. I'm sorry. They're expensive.
No, I've only used them.
Yeah.
A
This is
lot
great.
of times they're hanging around so much that they just end up going on a salad. I think I've bought in 2 bags my whole life.
I think I've used, I know I've used like chopped walnut before.
Mama, I
So
would
you
like
can-
some.
You can use
Mama, I would like
other nuts. But
How
walnut
much,
is,
okay, if I
was-
was to add walnuts, how much walnut would I add to that?
I would only add a little bit. When it's pine nut, it's like a small amount.
Okay.
So like maybe a tablespoon.
You
want- What do you want, a cracker? Here. You can go sit down. What do you think of this one?
I like it, it's very flavorful.
Both of them are really good.
I tasted a little bite of it. It did have that nice lemon
I think
flavor.
Mm.
Mm.
This one would be my mom's favorite. She loves dill.
Oh,
Puts
really?
dill in everything.
Mm.
Coleslaw doesn't matter what it is.
That's nice.
Dill.
I'd like a lot of dill myself.
Have you ever put cilantro in your?
I don't
In a
like
pesto?
cilantro that much.
Okay.
I love cilantro.
Yeah, I do too.
Except I'm Mexican, I guess.
yeah.
Mhm.
I've
But
been putting it on like everything.
you could definitely put it in. I think I like this one better.
It's really flavorful.
Are you
It's that
gonna
lemon
keep
Clover
putting
that
in
gives it that,
onion in it? Mama, can I have
So-
a fork?
It's really good.
I think what I'll do
Mom, can I have a fork?
is make one more with the Parmesan, and you guys can try the difference. If Melinda, wait, who just said they don't?
I
eat-
don't eat dairy.
Okay, Perrin and Billy Dawn, I have more of the first batch if you want more of that, and I'll make one more thing. So let's see. I guess if I could get the plates back again. Karen, do you want to hand me your plate? What would you like? Crackers again?
Sure, crackers are good.
Just make a meal out of
Like
pesto.
my dinner, yeah, that's good.
Chips and dip.
Thanks.
Billy Dawn, you wanna pass me a plate?
You guys really like it.
We really like it.
It's a really good idea.
So here's,
Oh.
this is, my friends keep telling me to do a food blog, and I do take all these pictures. and
You
it's
should,
taking up
because
space.
it's really cool.
But that was the side, like it puffed up,
Yeah.
and that was just air fryer toaster oven. That's
Yeah, air fryers.
What is it, honey?
but that's the
I'll pass it the
stuff.
It's really cool.
Hmm?
It's all about, sometimes it's all about texture. And like
I'm gonna
how
make
it
her another
actually-
one.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Like years before I put the pickled onions.
All right.
in.
Well, when it's ready, you can. Okay.
And that was the one going into the toaster oven, air fryer thing. I think it all. And I didn't have to sit there and go like a flipper thing and spatula and be all mad because half of it's on the skillet. I did do I did do like a sweeter crate a few weeks ago, and I stuffed it with plantains.
We can.
Like I did caramelized plantains because I'm just
I
learning how to
love-
do that properly with the
Those.
plantains
Are you
and
done?
stuff. And
I have made, I like
More what?
caramelized plantains,
pesto?
or just browned in the cast iron when they're really ripe.
yeah, that's what I.
But a lot of times, it's like 50-50. Sometimes I'll go to do it and they just don't taste, they're just not sweet enough. And then other times it's like they're amazing.
Mhm.
Is there like a trick to know when the perfect time is so that they'll be, or is it just each plantain is just not as sweet?
Well, when I was researching it, just recently, because throughout the years we picked up, however many for $1.
Yeah.
And we'd just be like, these are weird and blah blah blah. So I had to go to ethnic people that eat them every day. And
Yeah.
the one lady on YouTube, I think she's Dominican, she lives in the US now, and she explained it well. There was a a guy that did, it was less than 5 minutes, like, here's how you make an easy caramelized plantain. And, you know, I use coconut sugar instead of the white stuff. But, so it was like a splash of vanilla. And he said, like, he said, you have to make sure it doesn't, I don't forget what he said, brown or smoke. He said, otherwise your kitchen will smell awful or something like that. But it came out really good. And, you know, I'm trying to slice them kind of like slanted so they're long and skinny. Because when we go to Mexican places, they're always so good. And they don't
Plant-
Good.
You make
want
a
more
chip?
crackers?
No, just, well, not yet. I haven't gotten that far yet with the plantains.
You
But
did
like
in
the
your fryer.
thick ones.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I did
Put more
the,
crackers on it.
like I wrapped them up in the crates.
So buying the plantains at like an authentic place would
Or
probably
no, I got mine at the Cressona Giant the last time.
Okay.
It was like $4 for $1 or something.
Do they
like
ever
that.
have them at Bill's?
Sometimes I've seen them.
They have them at
But
Hornings
with-
sometimes.
With Bill's, like, you better be ready to have energy when you get home
Yeah.
to process
That's
all
right.
your fruits
That's
and
right,
vegetables. Because
You're
you
right.
leave those little $2 for cucumber or $2 pickling cucumbers overnight, and you wake up, you go down to your kitchen, it's just like slop,
You're right.
airy slop. And I know why, because I know a few people that's worked there, and they said that Bill, whoever is in charge, they freeze all their fruits and vegetables.
They
So
do?
I think that's why, or maybe the majority of them, because I've had that, like,
Maybe that's
4
what happens
people
at
throughout the
Hornings
years
too, because I swear
tell me
it's
that.
like the same way. Like,
Yeah, and I didn't
Yeah.
believe them, and then I was just like, well, maybe there's something to that after, getting mad at your cucumber pickles, or your pickled cucumbers.
Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, I just feel like lately my plantains just haven't been good.
I know
you buy them regular. I should do that. I love plantains.
I
I've
buy
never.
them whenever I see
made
them
more.
because
Want some more?
they're so good. Yeah, she's not ready yet. And my kids love them. Well, I just put a little bit of butter or ghee in my cast iron and cut them into things, like that way, and then fry them.
Yeah.
And with a little bit of salt. And sometimes they turn out absolutely amazing, and then other times there's just like no flavor to the plantain. And I wish I knew why. It's just-
Well, I know the Dominican lady,
Yeah.
I think it was, she said you use them when they're super ripe, like
Yes, I let
the
them get
peel is
black.
brown. Yeah, like brown black. And I was just like, oh, okay, well that's alright.
They
If it was a banana, it would go freeze
Yeah.
until banana time.
Yeah, they look like they would be bad, but no, they're. So like when I buy them, I usually have to wait a week or two before I can even use them.
So it seems like to me that the nutritional yeast, you can use less than the cheese, because I did the same amount and I need more cheese. It's more runny.
Am I done? Am I done?
No, I'm not done yet.
Where's all the cheese?
So that was,
Like
I know you can't see the plantains, but that was the gluten-free vegan grapes. That was my first try.
The plantains on each side. That looks really good.
All right.
Why doesn't it have something in the
Yeah, that looks
bag?
very nice.
That's so I can hold my phone better.
I'm giving this to you, Jeanette.
Is that like a caramel or?
Oh,
That's That's Tyranny dark chocolate syrup, which is vegan and gluten free. But I do the date, the Medjool date syrup.
Okay, did
I just started doing that in the past couple months too.
There you go.
Can I have your plate? Thanks.
I don't need all my food when Mama gives me.
Oh, so I did have a.
Yeah.
That's cookies.
I put that. I put the cocoa spread on.
Okay.
That's what
Here
I.
you go.
It was blurry, but that was the.
Okay, yeah.
And that's